Hi, everybody. Welcome to Won't Be Silent. I'm here with my special guest, Jonathan Reisman, Dr. Jonathan Reisman, who happens to be my nephew. No nepotism involved, but without any further ado, introduce yourself, Johnny boy.
My name is Jonathan Reisman. I'm Abe's nephew, and I'm also a physician in the Philadelphia area and a writer. And my first book is coming out today. And for that reason, I'm very happy to be here talking to my wonderful uncle. Here's a copy of the book. It's called The Unseen Body, A Doctor's Journey Through the Hidden Wonders of Human Anatomy. And the unseen body alludes to kind of aspects of the body that are hidden from us in our daily lives. Things that I learned about when I went to medical school and then did residency, and then through my medical career, you get to know body parts in a way that most people don't. And I always found that very fascinating. And body parts have stories. And so I tried to collect different stories of different body parts. Some stories will be familiar to people. Some are more hidden behind the curtain of the healthcare industry and what goes on behind the scenes. I'm appearing on a few podcasts coming up. There's some articles written about me and the book, and on social media, there's lots of things posted by the publisher and by me and by other fans. So I hope everyone who buys it will also take a photo of it and post that to social media. Why not? I'm new to this, I'm a physician, I'm an ER doctor. This is the first book I ever wrote, so.
Yeah, but the thing is, you have a lot of personality. I think it's important that be part of what you convey as the writer of the book, you know what I mean?
Sure, I hope I'm being personal.
So what is there anything that you anecdotally funny that you added into the book that you think people want to know, like just from face value?
I relate an anecdote where when I was a medical student, I was helping a nurse clean up a patient who had a really horrible case of diarrhea. This elderly, weak man was in the bed covered in his own incredibly foul-smelling diarrhea. And I saw the nurse struggling and decided to help. And before we were done, she asked me out on a date as we were cleaning up this poor man. So, and that taught me something about when you were in the healthcare industry, things like feces become everyday fare. She basically asked me out over the equivalent of a water cooler conversation. That's what we do in healthcare. So, and but not all of the book is about such gross topics. There's chapters on the heart, the throat, the liver, the lungs, the brain. So there's everyday fare in there too. Not all of it's repulsive, I swear.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to undergrad at New York University and majored in mathematics and almost got a minor in philosophy, not quite. And I had no desire to be a doctor at that time when I was in college. Oh, when I finished college, I was 19.
Yeah.
And after 2 years at NYU, and then I basically left to work and live in Russia. I went there about 5 times over the next 2 years. Traveled very extensively throughout the country, and including to some very remote parts of Siberia and the Russian Far East, which was to date some of the most amazing travel I've ever done and probably will ever do.
I know you went to Siberia, but that's where my dad was sent during World War II, right?
Yep.
So
right.
Is it still like gulaggy and like sheds and weird shit?
Well, there's definitely still prisons in Siberia where I wouldn't want to be sent, but yeah, for my grandparents, Siberia was a place to hide from Nazis. And after I went there, I came home speaking its praises, and my one still living grandparent, my father's mother, couldn't believe I was excited about Siberia, because for her, it was literally a place you hide from Nazis, and that's about it. But for me, it was a fascinating experience to go from the New Jersey suburbs to some of the most remote and wild places on the planet.
And did they hide from Nazis? Did you do any research about the Jews that were there while you were there by any chance?
Yeah, some of them did. Like my father's father was from Poland and escaped into Russia when Germany and Russia divided the country of Poland between them. Jews weren't sure which country to go to. Where should they go to stay in the German part, escape to the Russian part? They didn't know which part would be worse for the Jews. So he and his brother escaped to the Russian side, and the rest of their family stayed on the German side and were all killed. And he was put in a gulag north of St. Petersburg, and then later was sent to a farm in Kazakhstan. And that's where he met my grandmother, who had escaped into Siberia from Romania and made her way to Kazakhstan.
And then after Russia, where'd you go?
After Russia, so I went to medical school. And during medical school, I took a year off and spent 6 months in India working in a hospital, a public hospital in Mumbai, and also volunteering for a charity in Kolkata, where I worked in the slums and with a lot of populations that live on the street there. That was also a really eye-opening experience and sort of shaped the medical career I would go on to have. And that was really amazing. And a few things that really impressed me was how much good you could do with how little money. Some of the medicines that, for instance, children in India die for lack of are pennies, or they go blind from vitamin A deficiency, and vitamin A is supplements or cost almost nothing, especially from our perspective. So that really impressed me.
And I remember when you were there, the term, which I haven't heard since, is this idea of street medicine. Is that something?
Right. Yeah, so street medicine is sort of a practice of medicine on the streets where you are specifically targeting homeless populations or slum populations, people who are living outside of the normal, kind of house type of structure. And it's very hard to reach those populations with healthcare. Healthcare does a pretty bad job overall reaching those patients, following up with those patients, getting them the services they need. And it's hard when those types of people get admitted to the hospital, they end up getting discharged back to the street. And so you could imagine it's hard to stay on your medicines and follow up as needed and things like that. So street medicine is the practice of improving that area of healthcare.
So interestingly enough, though, then you don't hear a lot about street medicine here in America with the homelessness issue that's happening. You just don't hear it, you know what I mean? And I'm pretty on top of media bullshit. And it's weird that you don't, right?
Yeah, you don't hear a lot about it, but there is actually a network of street medicine clinics. The founder of Calcutta Rescue, who I worked with in Calcutta, sort of invented street medicine, but since he's had copycats all over the world. And in the US, there are a lot of people practicing street medicine. It's not well known enough or publicized enough, but a doctor in Pittsburgh, Jim Withers, who was also a CNN hero a few years back, does amazing work with the homeless populations of Pittsburgh. And he was another big influence on me.
I mean, I just note to self that the street medicine in United States is something that I think needs a lot more attention. I'll look into that at another time, but I think that it's weird since homelessness is such a horrible issue, like even here in Beverly Hills.
Really? Yeah, it's, worse than ever, it seems these days.
Yeah. Okay, so then you went there and you did that. And don't you have some other charity news that you're involved with that you want to talk about?
Yeah, so I did, after I got back from Calcutta, I started a charity that supports the charity that I worked for in Calcutta, and supports a few other educational and healthcare charities, some in India, some in Nepal.
And what's it called?
It's called the World Health and Education Network, or WHIN. And we're a small organization, but growing each year.
All right, I'll put a link in the description for that. And so are you already starting on your next book?
Well, I'm always thinking of ideas and turns of phrase and writing them down. And I've been collecting them. I'm a little daunted by the idea of starting on another book, since this one was an incredible amount of work, but probably. I hope everyone buys the book and enjoys it, and feel free to let me know what you think of it.
I sure will, sweetie. All right, be good. Say hi to Anna, his lovely wife, and the kids.
Bye, Abe. Thank you.
Ciao.